Okay, internet. Here we are, Bad Publicity. So much content in the last couple days. This is almost getting ridiculous. We are live on site in Alabama.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Way to rep where I live. Thank you, Jameson.
No problems, man. No problems. For those that didn't see that, I'm rocking. Internet. The Crimson Tide. Here we are, Bad Publicity. I'm getting mad feedback here. There we go. Checking myself out. Brother, what's been going down with you here? Anything you wanna cop in off the top here?
Anything?
Anything.
The Valley has changed my outlook of the game for the better. Every time we get new cards, I'm always wondering if there's going to be if that pack is going to destroy the game or enhance it or completely turn the meta on its head. I think that this pack so far has just been really entertaining, and the few changes we are seeing are enough to sort of help balance the game out. Outside of Netrunner, things are good, man. I do my 9 to 5 like everybody else. Love where I work. Have spend a lot of great time with my friends. Going back to Netrunner, the Netrunner community in general has been really positive. I know they just had that StemHack Store Championship Invitational, which
yes.
It looks super successful and super fun. I'm actually envious I couldn't participate.
Yeah, no doubt. That was great.
Yeah.
I was able to catch a couple feeds here and there.
Yeah.
Really shouts out to the people that put that kind of stuff on, because that's a lot of time, that's a lot of effort. That's a long day for some people, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the thing is I think they started at 10 a.m. and it went on to I think 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Let me drop 3 pieces of housekeeping before we get too far into it.
Cool.
First off, if you see what this thing right here is, this is a brand new Bad Publicity logo sent in to us by Jonas. Thank you very much. We always got to recognize our main guy, because that kind of stuff just makes us look a little more professional.
Yeah, I agree.
So great work on that, giving us a little BP avatar filler in. Second piece of... oh man, I already lost my train of thought. What was the second one? Second one, I am kind of disturbed by some news that came out today. The spoilers for the Sansan cycle, the very last pack was released. And yes, my call was correct that Fisk is in it, but the Chronos is also in it. That means this cycle, Gentechi's pulling 2 identities.
That's true. That is true.
What?
I mean, is that crazy though? Because I don't think either of those IDs are too powerful, right? Like, they can be strong, but they're not. I don't think they're necessarily at the same strength as like RP is right now, right? Or
no, but that's a lot of love for one faction,
It is
in a cycle.
Right.
Nonetheless, like no break, They're in the first pack, they're in the last pack.
That's true. And then not to mention, they've already had their big box. MBN has not. So we're getting IDs, that are there. Nothing really that stands out for like the neutral concept. I was hoping we'd see a neutral ID or something like that soon.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're really putting more. Well, I guess we'll see, because we don't know what else is coming. But maybe that ID is taking the spot of another ID, and we'll still have the same amount. Maybe someone's getting put on the shelf.
Maybe. You never can tell, man. Like, it's so like the game changes so every month. The game changes. I can't predict anymore. I'm just gonna give up. I'm gonna give up trying to predict what the heck is going to happen in Netrunner.
All right, and I've totally forgot my my third point. So let's just pretend that it was two forms of housekeeping.
Cool.
I'm gonna dive right into some stuff here. We're gonna talk about corporation cards that are in the Valley. Brother, first up here, we're going to go to HB. This is a 1 res cost asset facility subtype, brain tapping warehouse. The res cost of Biroid ice is lowered by 1 for each unspent click the runner has. Trash cost 4, influence 1.
The trash cost and like the res to trash cost ratio is like I think the most attractive part.
I like that.
Yeah.
The one thing that that they didn't need is probably 1 influence.
Right.
I mean, you could have either made this 0 or 5, right? Like, how crazy is this going to be out of faction?
Well, it only synergizes with the Bioroid ice, and the problem is that I think the majority of the Bioroid ice, if not all of them, are like 2 to 3 influence per. So the biggest bang for the buck here to use this card, I assume, is going to be in faction. So you're probably going to use it with engineering the future heavy Bioroid, or you'll try to take advantage of something unique with like Stronger Together, and then of course you'll use this asset as a means to, I guess help that deck's economy. What do you think about how this helps like a Stronger Together deck's economy? You think it's enough?
No.
Right.
I mean, I watched Timmy play this. He took a deck that Spags posted up online and ran this in StimHack League. Played some great games, but you could see that even when you give this to a person that can pilot this deck very well, going up against other top tier decks, it's still getting slammed down right now. Right. I do love that it's a 1/4. I do love the fact that this is not unique, that these can combine together. You're really going to have a couple servers out to get that going. But I mean, if you want to spend 1 to have the runner trash something like this for 4, that's still great return.
Yeah, and I think unlike unlike some other cards here, that we could look at, like brain tapping or taping, brain taping warehouse. This card works for every server, regardless of what server it's in, right? So they make a run on R&D. This card is, even just naked and, as a remote server by itself, you can spin 1 and that, they run click 1 versus an Eli or versus that Marcus. You're looking at a very cheap res cost, even for that first piece of ice, which math-wise, the card pretty much pays for itself after you've gotten to use it, even just 1 time. The card's basically paid for itself if they run first click.
Right, but there's a good comment that was brought up in the chat here that says the thing that worries me about it is that there's not enough truly amazing small Biroids yet.
Right. Yeah. Because if you're running in most every scenario I could think of where you'd run a Biroid heavy deck, like I would feel like the staples are pretty much going to be Eli, Marcus, Itchy. And maybe, a smattering of like a Heimdall 1 or a Heimdall 2. You're not going to have too many of them. Victor 2 will probably make an appearance. Victor 1 gets better and stronger together. So, I mean, there's options there, but the question is, the problem is that the fact that they're clickable means they're still kind of, it's still a permeable issue. Then you have to also think about, like Victor 2 is not bad, but Toll Booth is great, right? In every scenario I could think of where I'd want to run Bioroid heavy, I can see myself having available influence to play ice that isn't dependent on brain taping warehouse. In which case, for example, let's say I start to fill my deck up with that. I decide to go the route of having toe boots. I decide to go the route of having other ice in the deck that aren't exclusively Bioroid. The less Bioroid you have in the deck, it feels like cards like Melange, as opposed to brain taping warehouse, become a lot better because you're getting the credits for anything and everything as opposed to being very specific to how the runner chooses when you res Bioroids.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting card because I do think that Haas needed something like this. They needed a way to make that good Bioroid ice cheaper.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
The one thing that I'm worried about cards like this is that usually when you're going Bioroid like in a Stronger Together deck, you're really, putting a heavy scoop of Bioroid in there.
Yes.
Now you're going to have to be very careful about your placement, right? Because the res cost of Bioroid Ice is lowered by 1 for each unspent click the runner has. Now, if you have a Bioroid Ice as your first piece of ice being encountered, it gets clicked through. Right. Now you've just, hindered yourself. Like, because really Bioroid, you're really playing a click taxing game. Yeah. You know that it can be clicked through, and this is going to kind of, take away some of that synergy there. You're gonna hinder yourself. You're gonna want it in there to be able to pop something, but you might not pop it if they've already spent all their clicks clicking through something.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, what it does, Bioroids are naturally more taxing if you're running last click, right? Especially when you look at the way Stronger Together is set up, because they're getting the extra strength. Most Bioroids have multiple subroutines. I mean, the point is for them to be taxing, credit-wise, but they have that caveat or the caveat of having the issue where you can just click through them. You don't. Money is irrelevant. You can just spend your clicks. When the runner starts to metagame this card, they're basically just going to end up spending money, which isn't bad. I mean, at that point now, Bioroids are doing what they're supposed to do, but now you have an economy card that isn't saving you economy. It's taxing the runner. And anybody, the more you play, you realize, taxing the runner is fine, but that doesn't mean you don't need your own personal econ. So it's questionable how much this card helps. Again, to me, I run in that scenario where I think, well, this card has better survivability, but is it better than Melange? And I don't think so. But I think it's a great option to have. I do agree, but HB definitely needed something like this.
Yeah. Just to hit on Bladejack's comment there, the possibility of, cheaper Eli's and things like that is amazing and excites me.
Yeah.
But he doesn't still think this card is good overall, and I'm going to have to agree with him that there's going to be a lot of synergy coming there. I do like the trash cost being 4, though. It lets you utilize 2 different things. It's going to let you drip away some of the runner stuff, and also at least have something that could possibly stay on the table a little longer. Moving along, we've got a piece to the puzzle that we've all been waiting for. This is the mother load right here, the 8 res cost next gold. We're looking at a Century. Next, AP Destroyer. 4 strength, 3 influence. These are getting to be a mouthful to read. X is the number of resed next ice. Subroutine, do X net damage. Subroutine, trash X programs. What's next? Next platinum?
Oh my God.
John Masanori.
I kind of feel like they could have just named the subroutine win X amount of times. Because effectively, if you have enough next ice, either one of these subroutines effectively wins the game, right? I mean, you got 5 next ice, they don't have 5 cards in hand, game is over. You have 4 programs in play, or 5 you have 3 programs in play, they kill 3 or 4 programs. I mean, that opens up such a wide window of scoring for you as the corp. It pretty much is irrelevant. But I will say overall, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by next gold at all.
Really?
I'm actually not.
What there is hindering you? Did you want another piece of ice that cheaply fits into the set? Is that what you were looking for?
I was hoping for something cheaper that could be leveraged a bit better. The problem is, to me, the biggest problem I have with this card is the 8 cost.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. That's the one thing that sticks out on me that might be hard. I mean, like we were just saying, Bioroid has, in faction, Bioroid has expensive ice already.
Yes.
This is forcing you to choose to go one way or another to cut something else to keep this in. But I assume if you're going to go next, you're probably, maybe going to throw one of these at least in there. I'm happy with the 4 strength.
Yes.
I mean, we got to really look at this card and say, like, if anything was adjusted here, would it be broken? Right? If it was cheaper, yes. But I mean, I think if you wanted to adjust stats like that, you'd probably have to cut one of those subroutines, because realistically, if you're getting both of these to fire, it's going to be pretty vicious.
Yeah. So the subroutines are. I do think the subroutines are appropriate. Like, doing net damage and trashing programs at the same time. I mean, that you're basically going to have the option now with if this card hits. You're going to kill off part of their rig, if not all their rig, and then you're going to hurt the cards in their hand that may help with the recovery after those programs are trashed. So that's not a horrible thing. I think that I think it in a unique way synergizes really well with itself by doing that. But okay, so it's AP and Destroyer.
Yeah.
So that means that Sharpshooter and Deus Ex break it for relatively 0, like 1 or 2. They just have to be in play. So once this card is rezzed, especially versus like a Shaper matchup, if they've got any of those, Deus Ex or Sharpshooter, this card is not actually going to threaten anything. They're going to get through. Then the fact that the strength really isn't boostable is a problem. 4 is not bad. I mean, if it was lower, then I would not even entertain the thought of this card.
100%.
But
with the amount of Mimic that's still around, like a card that will just never seems to go away, Mimic.
Right. My issue is that I think that the cards, like the 4-strength sentries that stand out to me, are at a low enough cost so that if you run them too early, you're not ready to avoid getting hit by them, right? Like Itchy is a great example, right? If you may have Mimic out, so you think to yourself, I'll be fine. I've got Mimic. I can take care of this. But when you look at a card like Itchy, for example, even though the card is clickable, at the very least, from the get-go, they're being taxed, and the card will be a continual tax even after support because it has 3 subs, where when it comes down to next gold, you got 2 subs, both of which are dependent on how many other next sites are res. So this card, you never really want to res if you don't already have, I would say, another 2 next ice maybe.
Yeah, because you really want that surprise factor, right? Good call on that stuff. I'm pretty much paddling in the same boat here with you, brother. These centuries that you want to pop, that are sitting at this level. When you get a 4-strength century that's just out of Mimic range, you got to be able to res this early, and you got to be able to get this to execute early. And Next Gold doesn't seem to be able to do either of those, because you're going to have to be resing your other stuff, which will, maybe you won't have the credits to pop this. And then by, late to mid game, this is just a, 4-strength century with 2 subs.
Yeah. Now, I will say in the defense of this card, and it looks like, Adrian Herber, he made a good point. If you're running a card like maybe corporate troubleshooter, this card definitely goes a lot. Corporate troubleshooter will go a lot further with a card like Next Gold, but in comparison to a card like Itchy, because Itchy can be clicked through. This card can't be, and so as a result, if you can res this with enough subs and boost that strength and not prepared for it, you basically can. It's pretty much subroutine in the game. I mean, that's what is possible. I don't know, man. I can't tell. To me, it's meh. Like I would have much rather preferred a next, because the next ice already have issues, right? They already have issues where like the next silver can easily be parasited and then it does nothing, and next next bronze has the issue where it's easily yoggable. This card has fair amounts of survivability, but in comparison, but I think the weaknesses also of the other 2 next ice that are already in existence hurt how strong this card could potentially be. Parasite's becoming more popular because Anarch picks up because Clot is now a more common card to be played, right? And then you have the fact that Yogg is easily played because there's Yogg is easily played in general just because it's the most efficient code gate breaker that we've got. So knowing those things, Next isn't necessarily in a great position to be a full ice suite that you rely on like that. And Gold only further exacerbates this issue when it's an 8 strength to res, requires the other weaker Next ice to be in play that already have these existing weaknesses that everyone's aware of. So basically, if I was looking at like Bioroid suite versus the Next suite, I think the Bioroid suite is better. And since they're all in faction, I don't think you're going to play these Next ice out of faction. It comes down to, if I was going to make a deck, would I rather have the Bioroid suite or Next suite? I think I'd still stick with the Bioroid suite as opposed to anything Next, really. So, I could be wrong. This is my opinion. I'm wrong quite often.
No, but I think we'll see what people make of this. But like you said, this is just initial impressions off the cuff. I'm not sure who's on it, but shout out to Corp Draw, the Corp Draw accounts in the chat. If you guys
Corp Draw
want to ping who's ever piloting that for input as well, feel free. Perfect. Next gold. We'll see. Is this the end of the Next suite? I kind of hope not.
Yeah, I think what I really want to see. I want to see Next Platinum do something ridiculous. Like, I want to see Next Platinum somehow boost every piece of Next Ice in a different way than simply what's on that card itself. Like, what I want to see is like a Next Platinum card that says something like, when you res Next Platinum, all Next Ice get an additional subroutine, or all Next Ice get a +1 to strength. Like, I wanted to stack. I want to make it so that when Next Platinum is res, because I mean at this point, it's got to be a 15 res cost now. I mean, like, I want to make it so that when Next Platinum drops, basically it is the single defining Next Ice that saves Next Ice. And I know I'm asking for a lot, but I think that's what they're going to need. I think they need a Next Ice to be good enough to you now can look at it and say this is comparable to the Bioroid suites that we're seeing that are so good. I'm looking for the Eli of Next Ice, and we we don't have it yet.
You know, it was a cool mechanic we were talking about with the Run Last Click guys, is that whatever Next Platinum is, whatever effect it does is you have to trash next pieces of ice. So it's X is the amount of Next Ice that you trash to to do something, right? So it rewards you for like cleaning up those cards. It pulls all of them in together and gets gets one big huge strong thing.
And imagine, I mean, even like down to econ. Like, imagine if a Next card could boost the econ, gain a credit per piece of Next Ice resed. I mean, at the very least, then, because Next Silver and Next Bronze are so cheap. Excuse me, they're so cheap. Imagine just gaining credits back so you can res cards like Next Gold. That's my issue. Is just that they're just not. It's not cost effective. It doesn't feel cost effective.
I like the heads up there from Brandon. Dropping the the worst part is they're all going to get cycled out at different times. he's got his eyes on the future.
Oh my goodness.
Let's get into some Genteki here.
Yeah. You're right. They would get cycled out at different. That's horrible. That makes them so bad. Oh.
Genetic resequencing. This is a 3-1 agenda that when you score it, you may place one agenda counter on an agenda in your score area. Very interesting. Making other agendas that you score better. Now, let's do the gauntlet here. We're talking Nisei.
Boom.
House of Knives, Brain Trust.
Boom. All right. So the one I care the least about, you can guess.
Brain Trust?
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
But the other two,
they're interesting. But what you know what I don't I mean, you're really going to have to play the 1,000 Cuts game with the House of Knives, because that's a lot of 3-for-1s you're going to have
it is.
In your suite. So basically what you're doing with gene resequencing is giving yourself another stop on a Nisei. And I hate Nisei to begin with. Not that I hate the card, but playing against. And if you're telling me that you can boost that counter again, Come on.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculous. But what I think, too, is that I don't know if a lot of people are daring enough to break up their agenda suites already. Like when you start putting one-pointers in your, in your composition, it changes the whole dynamic of the deck.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I love genetic resequencing because I think that in order to be able to make 3-1s playable in this game, the effect has to be very strong. You look at Chronos Project, that's a strong effect. I mean, the right Chronos Project will kill a handful of decks entirely, right? It'll kill Max. It'll kill Kate. You look at like False Lead. Anytime you score False Lead, effectively, and you use its effect, it's effectively to end the game. For genetic sequencing, Nisei MK2 Mark II is so powerful. I definitely think that comboing this with it is absurd. It's point blank absurd. But I agree 100% what you said about like your agenda density. Like people already have it's pretty clear what the best agenda layout is for most decks. Mm-hmm. And you are effectively, because this card is only going to be a Genteki. When I'm looking at Future Perfect, that's an amazing agenda. I don't really want to take that out. That agenda is always good. NAPD doesn't get any counters. I pretty much don't play Brain Trust, So, yeah, I mean, this card can only be good with Nisei MK2, and given the fact that we've got all these other great agendas we can use in faction, that's a hard sell. I mean, it is really difficult to rationalize putting that in a deck.
Yeah, and you know what? I see some kind of mechanic that's flowing through, some of these agendas recently, and that is creating an order that they need to be scored in. It was touched on in chat, but it's like the Bifrost array for HB, right? Yeah. Lets you trigger something that's already been scored in your agenda suite, so making you say that if you get, that card early, do you hold it or do you score it out, right? If you get this before your Nisei, do you hold this? Do you score it out? So it's going to be, that whole mind game within your own head on how comfortable do you feel holding an agenda for that long.
Right. Because, I mean, the card is only good when there's another agenda already scored. It doesn't, I mean, if you just score that and there's no agenda, let me check the text on this. Yeah, I mean, this only triggers when it's scored. It would be different if, like, when you scored it, it had, like, a power counter. Yeah, you could move it. But, you can't do that. The card only triggers when you score it. So if you don't have that Nisei MK2 already scored, it doesn't do anything. It's just a blank 3-1. Then again, throwing this card, scoring this and putting in, putting that counter on Nisei MK2. We've seen, 2 score Niseis in an RP deck. That can pretty much mean the end of the game.
Yeah, and that's just, that's the kind of fear that people are going to have to worry about now. But, then again, like you said, do they really? Because how many people are going to break up their agenda compositions to add more 3-1s? I would really like to see it. I'd like to see people walk on the wild side a little bit. Yeah. But I don't see it happening.
The closest thing I think I could call possibly with this would be, I know that there are RP decks right now that are doing, because Valencia may be more prominent, I know that there's people out there that are doing things like a -1 in APD, and they're putting in they're putting in 2 3-1s. Now, lately what I've seen is that those 3-1s have been Chronos Project.
Yeah, I'm not taking those out of mine.
Yeah.
No way.
But there could, maybe if somebody wants to be froggy and feels froggy and they decide they want to put this in place of Chronos Project to super combo their Niseis, I could see that happening.
Froggy, huh?
Yeah, I don't know another word for it. You have to be pretty damn confident that you're going to score this after Nisei is scored immediately after, and that this card your opponent isn't going to steal it before you score the Nisei. That's pretty confident. In the same token, God, I don't know.
What's the website where you have to go and look up slang on the internet?
Urban
Oh
Dictionary.
yeah, the Urban Dictionary. I'm gonna have to go look up froggy.
Froggy. Oh my god. It's just crazy.
Or you're gonna have to add that yourself. So I'll check it later.
It's got to be there, man. It's got.
I'm froggy.
Someone in chat link or post the definition of froggy means from Urban Dictionary. That would be great.
So genetic resequencing. I do like the fact that these 3 ones, the design team is really making you think about including them.
Yeah. I mean, there was an article. I'm not going to be too long-winded about it, but there was an article posted, I think, on stemhack.com where someone basically pointed out, for 3-1 to be used, the effect has to be strong. I would almost argue pretty much the effect has to be stronger than what a 3-2 is capable of, because there's rarely ever a reason to use a 3-1 over a 3-2.
Right.
And I mean, what's unfortunate, is that even if the effect on the 3-1 is really strong, look at Brain Trust. Brain Trust is effectively a blank 3-2, but it is still more valuable to play that card, in my opinion, than play the 3-for-1.
Yeah,
because you're getting 2 points for the same amount of advancements.
The points are the ability there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The points are the ability. I mean, it's just.
All right. Up next, we got the Cortex lock. You'll notice that we've jumped the ID. We'll hit that at the end. So that if anybody's, keeping track of the number on the cards, and they're like, "Hey, you missed one." No, it's coming. It's coming. So this is a century, and it's also AP. This is a nice sitting century card. Cortex lock. Do 1 net damage for each unused MU the runner has. 2 to res. Now we're sitting at 4 strength here. So now we have a cheap outside of mimic range, nice little century for 2 influence. I like this card a lot.
I agree.
I like the subroutine play on it. I like the balance of the res to strength.
Yes.
There is nothing wrong with this card at all. I really think this is going to see play. We've seen a lot of cards in the coming out now that give the runner cheap memory, different ways that memory is being utilized. This could do crazy damage to a Theophilus Stim Dealer deck.
Oh man, yeah, that would.
With the wonderful Echo Mind that we piloted back in the day. But man, you want to say anything else about this? I think this card is just wrapped up perfectly. I think personally, it's one of the best ice, one of the better ice we've seen in quite a long time. Mm-hmm. Cortex Lock is immensely powerful. Even if it's not for the entire game, it's immensely powerful for early game. Right, because how many times are people going to put a Mimic down against Genti and just be like, run.
Classic. I mean, early game versus Genti, if you throw that Mimic down, sorry, that is not good enough. And by the way, I know you don't have a console, but you should take 3 net. I mean, that is so good. That's so good. Like it blows my mind that the runner can just play what they think is the best defense, versus a matchup for like Genti, and this really helps that strength, that weakness rather. Excuse me. I like it so much.
Yeah, so do I. I don't. I just think it works, and I don't think I have anything else to say to it. I think it's a fun card, and we're going to see it. Yeah,
I mean, I would warn everybody, like if you're playing against a Genti deck, let me do my look directly into the camera to give a message to people. Let me make sure I'm looking at it. All right, runners, the game has changed. Face checking is now not okay. Be very, very careful when you face check. I would recommend running Fairy and or Deus Ex. Like, nowadays, there was a long period of time in the game where running naked was totally acceptable. You didn't really care. You lost cards, who cares? Now, if you play versus this card, if you feel really stern and you play Econ and try to face check, you die. Turn 1. Ahmed Abessi and a few other players like Timmy Wong, who played in that championship in the SimHack Store Champ, will tell you they were not prepared for this card. They did not, they just were not aware of what they should do, and they died turn 1 or 2 because they needed to face check. This card is powerful. Don't get got. Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we did see the power in that tournament of people putting this card in. I got to figure out a way to clip those out. These little,
My PSAs.
This is a public service announcement from your boy Hollis.
Yeah, I mean,
listen up, runners.
It's so important. Like people, the game is not safe. Like we are long past that scenario where I think you just run naked against every bot, every corp. I mean, you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And if there's more cards like Cortex Lock coming, where they're just outside the strength of where you feel safe, of what you think is safe. I mean, you're in trouble. Like you now, there's so many things to consider now, because if versus NBN, if it's an NBN kill deck, what if they've teched this in? Like, what do you do? Like oh my god, I can't imagine. I hope I never encounter this versus an NBN kill deck. This would be terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
It's a good card.
Yeah, so good.
Up next, we got the Valley Grid. This is an upgrade. Res is for 3, trash is for 3, so it's pretty much a break even. Whenever the runner breaks all subroutines on a piece of ice protecting this server, his or her maximum hand size is reduced by 1 until the beginning of your next turn. This is an interesting card. It plays a little with the Genti theme about manipulating hand size, trying to set up for kills. I really think that this might be interesting in something like a brain damage Hasbiroid style thing. Yeah. I'm really curious of the play out of faction, because it's sitting at 2. Like 2 can be done, and it's an upgrade. So I mean, you can stick it anywhere you want. Yeah. But I don't know. I think this card will remain to be seen. There's a lot of weird cards that don't get touched that deal with manipulating hand size.
It's, to me, I think the obvious comparison, right, is to like Hokusai Grid. So Valley reduces the max hand size, so there's not really recovery for that, right? Like when it comes back to when it's your turn, it's the corp now. That max hand size is reduced permanently. That can synergize with cards like Ronin, right? Because that means that if you can the goal to use Ronin in combination with Neural Imp to kill can be done a little easier if something like this triggers.
Yeah.
But Hokusai is a little bit, it's 4 to trash as opposed to 3. It's only 2 to res. They kind of, in my opinion, sort of fill the same slot. I do agree that this card may be better if it's a lot of brain, though. I think that's a fair point. If you're doing more brain, I think this card stands out a little more. To help set up that kill. But man, I don't know. I feel very meh.
Will it stack? Like in the terms of the runner breaks all subroutines on a piece of ice protecting this server. Like, so if they break all the ice on the first, their hand size goes down 1. They break all the subroutines on the next one, their hand goes down 1. You know what I mean? So every time they're breaking pieces of ice, their hand size is reduced by 1.
I think it would stack.
That would make things a little more interesting, and as the game heads towards more of a glacier style build again, right? As Fast Advance might see the back seat, but we'll see. As of right now, I think I don't have anything else to say.
I think this is one of the cards where I kind of want to see if someone else can use correctly. I don't like it enough to want to experiment with it. I'm certain someone will try it, and I think that'll be the kind of determining factor on.
Yeah, you're not sure if it's worth that deck slot or not right now.
Yeah. I mean.
Up next, we have a really cool concept card. This is Bandwidth. We're getting into the MBNs here. This is 0 to res and a 5 strength code gate. really interesting mix there. And it's one influence, so it's very, very splashable.
Right.
One subroutine, give the runner one tag. If this run is successful, the runner removes the tag. So, I mean, I think it obviously is going to synergize with some of the other NBN ice we've seen that does damage based on tag inside that run. But, you know, with the run popping away.
Yeah. Well,
Does that synergize with dedicated response?
I'm not sure about that timing. Let me.
What's dedicated response team is if the run is successful and you're tagged or something like that? Like what's the...
Yeah, I think. Just a sec. Pardon me, internet. Give me a minute. Dedicated response team says if the runner is tagged, dedicated response team gains whenever a successful run ends due to meat damage. So I think the question is...
So no, I don't think it would then, would it? Because
well, yeah.
because the run can be successful, but that run is not over yet, right? This is saying if the run is successful, the runner removes the tag.
Yeah.
So if you get all the way to the end before you access cards, you're classified as having a successful run.
Yeah.
So
yeah, basically after once you access cards or whatnot, the tag is gone, and so DRT will. Yeah.
So this is going to be for in run effects somehow with that will synergize with those NBN ice.
Yeah, universal connectivity fee. Like,
yeah, that's the one that makes you drop your money if you're tagged and stuff.
Is that yeah. Universal connectivity fee is really that's the only combo I think that works. But that's not a bad combo though. I mean, it's actually a really cheap combo, all things considered, right? That's effectively a 0 into a 2 strength ice. You know, for that to work. But then you have to ask yourself, right? So this does. They take a temporary tag, and then they hit universal connectivity fee. That's fine. I can't help but think that like Data Raven would just always be better. You know what I mean? Because they have to take the tag, and they can't shake the tag, barring New Angeles City Hall, right? They can't shake that tag until the run completely ends. So bandwidth is amazing to be 0.5 strength, but it pretty much only combos, I think, with like things like universal connectivity.
Yeah, until we see more stuff come through, and then hopefully some other factions get, you know, like Wayland or something like that, get a couple ice that deal with, you know, if you're tagged during the run and stuff like that because of the low influence splash. Yep. Love to be able to see options with this card. I really like it, but not right now.
Nah, not yet. There's not enough to. I don't think there's enough to synergize really with bandwidth.
Predictive algorithm.
Oh.
Here's the NBN current. NBN seems to be getting a lot of cool currents. 0 to play. Standard current rules. As an additional cost to steal an agenda, the runner must pay 2 credits. Now this is a 1 influence operation, where I think that's incredibly generous of them, because this seems like a really cool current to have in play, making everything kind of, you know, mini NAPD style.
Yeah, I agree.
What
do you think?
I think it really seems like they want us to be making a decision on what currents fit in our decks.
Right.
I think it really seems that the current mechanic is here and it's not going away.
No.
You know, it's not something that they tried, and it's going to be on its way with what we have. More and more of these currents are coming out. And I do like the corporation currents better so far than I like the runner currents.
Yeah. I think in general the corp currents number 1 I think are quite.
I would play this card.
It'd be tough. between like if I was going to choose a current, and I was looking just at NBN, it'd be tough to choose this over targeted marketing. But
Or Manhunt.
yeah, or Manhunt. I would also like to point out: is it just me, or does NBN now have the most currents?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Another NBN current,
Like-
right? Like
NBN has gotten so much love. They can effectively stop getting love now. I mean,
maybe that's the way it is, though. Maybe NBN is that like the current is the media that they're broadcasting out.
yeah.
Got to dig deep in that theme, man. Dripping in theme. No, and I think this can be used anywhere. I think this is a great way to put an additional tax on the runner in some of those high taxing decks. Will it eventually be chosen over, ELP? Probably not yet, but I think it's giving you options. I do like it.
Yeah, man, this. Oh,
Here's Adrian said that he heard that FFG commented that the corp currents will always be stronger. It's their intention to make them,
I think that's fine.
to give the corp their little boost. I like it.
Yeah.
I think this can definitely find home in certain decks.
Maybe just, I mean, what I like to do is I like to see how taxing you can make it. Because, I mean, NBN is already really, really good about runner resource denial. Like, surprisingly good at it. I mean, they can siphon runner credits with reversed accounts. Their asset like marked account is expensive. They tag, which further taxes runner resources. And then to top it all off, they get other additional options like perma tagging and things like that. I feel like this card, if you're playing if you're playing that kind of denial strategy, I think it's definitely useful. I feel like most of the time, if I was going to play a current NBN, I'd choose targeted marketing. But this is not bad. Like you said, if it's the taxing deck, I think this is just fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I think targeted marketing, I haven't really seen it make a splash.
It's more of a targeted, like, scare tactic.
Yeah, and I think William said at the same time as I did. I think targeted marketing. He's saying that the value on that card has gone down because of the as the card pool diversifies, it's harder to be able to pop that off. You're really going to have to know the deck type that's being played.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like with targeted marketing, there's definitely there's always going to be cards that they get played no matter what, right? Like even targeted marketing, if you just say sure gamble, they either will say, well, I don't care. You take 10, I'm still going to use my sure gamble, or they hold back. They say, I don't need this boost of 4 right now. I'm gonna hold this boost of 4 until it's necessary.
But so far, NAPD has been a auto include in the NBN agenda suite. So you can imagine with NAPD plus this card out, you're really, poking into the wallet.
True.
I think it's going to find a home.
If someone out there is wants to run this, I would like you to build the deck and then send it to me, please.
And then you'll run it.
I will test this, and we will talk. Hey, maybe this could be another deck tech. By the way, I'm late about this. Someone mentioned this from Georgia. There is a suggested name for our deck tech, so we can talk about that at the end of the show.
Oh, okay, cool. I remembered my point from the top of the show too, but now it's way too late.
Sweet. Okay. Cool.
Next up, we have capital investors. We're into the Waylands here. This is a 2 influence, 2 res, 2 trash, gain 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
2, 2, 2.
So you're looking at a click to gain 2. Are you going to run this? That's what I want to know off the bat. First instincts. I'm coming at you. Don't stall. Are you going to run this card?
Yes. In Wayland? In Wayland or outside Wayland?
Anywhere.
Yes.
Really? Why?
If I was going to run Melange is an incredibly inflexible card. It's 1 click, or it's not 1 click, excuse me, it's 1 res, 3 clicks, gain 7, right? That's my whole turn. 1 trash cost. In every scenario, at least within Wayland, that I could think about using Melange, I would rather use Capital Investors because the card's way more flexible. Because I can res it and go, click, click, gain 4. Do you not run it? That's fine. Click, gain 2, click, gain 2, install a card over this card. Melange is anti-synergistic because with installing cards, because you have to, in order to install cards or protect the Melange, you have to stop gaining money. And this card is the opposite. This card says, I gain 2, install ice over it, or additional ice over it, your turn. You can't get to it yet. That's fine. Gain 2, install another piece of ice. That's why. That's pretty much the only reason why. I don't think I'd ever use influence for it, though.
Okay, so there's the second question is, you're using this out of faction. Is this replacing a pad campaign for you?
I don't think so.
No, me either, because I think what pad does for you is a little more. You're able to run a pad unprotected, 70-something% of the time. With that 4 trash cost, it's just so unappealing sometimes for them to trash it. This here, a 2 trash cost, I think you're going to have to protect something like this.
Yeah, you pretty much have to. You do. Good Garen? No, never.
No, but I think it's a very interesting card. Like you said, you're able to multi-use it, right?
Yeah.
So it's able to do what it needs to do, but it being an asset, it has to sit, in its own server. Do you pop this behind? The way I think that it's best going to be used is before or after you've scored an agenda, to shore yourself back up. Where you have that one nice scoring remote, you're going to put it behind it and just start clicking to get, a couple credits, and then still be able to have the flexibility on a turn to do something else.
Yeah.
So, right. So, click, you got 4, do something else, draw, or install over top of it, or whatnot. It's making you a little more flexible than the Melange. That was a good comparison there for that.
That's pretty much the only saving grace behind it, I think, is if I was going to use Melange in Wayland, I now have a reason not to use Melange. I have a card that's more flexible. So.
And it's at least it giving you one more trash cost on it.
Hey, why not?
Why not?
I hope.
Wayland's ice from the Valley is a pretty interesting piece of ice here. This is a 4 res cost, 3 century destroyer. That's 2 influence. Okay, so this is preloaded. The runner can pay 2 credits to break any subroutine on Negotiator. Subroutine 1, the Corp gains 2. Subroutine 2, trash 1 program. What are we looking at here? A pop-up with a little bit of teeth? At 4 to res, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think it's quite interesting that even without a rig open or available to them, you're giving them a chance to break.
Yeah. If we were to look at let's use this like encounter, free break ability. If we compare it to like an Eli, right? Then or any Baroid ice. Baroids have the ability to, you spin a click, you break a subroutine on them. The math of the game would tell you that a click for a runner could equate anywhere between something like 1.5 to 3 credits or more sometimes. It just depends on cards in play or the click use, things like that. The card that triggers the click use. So the fact that it's 2 to break a sub, to me, it's not that much better or worse to me than than borrowed ice, right?
Yeah.
You can argue, oh well, if you had clicks though, you could break borrows, or if
Now
you have no.
are you only allowed to break one, or is it saying that
Any.
if you so $2 to break any subroutine?
Yes.
So I can pay two, break the first, two to break the second, or I pay $2 and I pick which subroutine.
You get to pick which sub.
No, but that's what I mean. Like you can't double pay it, right? Like it's not saying.
Yeah.
So
it says the runner can pay 2 to break any subroutine on Negotiator.
Yeah. So if you pay, can you pay 4 and just pass it?
Oh, I see what you're saying about the wording. Wait a minute, hold on. I think, I would imagine that happens multiple times. I imagine you can spend 4 and break everything. I would imagine so. I think so.
I know it's, I might be nitpicking.
Because, I mean, with bar rates, don't they also say that you may... Yeah, wait a minute.
It's awesome that these episodes, we're getting right down to the nitty-gritty. We're rule judging here.
May spin click to break. Yeah, it's the same. The template, even though they lack a template, the word choices are the same.
Okay.
Eli, the runner may spin click to break any subroutine on Eli 1. Oh, wait a minute. Is the wording different? Yes. No, it's not. It's the same.
Okay.
So it works exactly like Eli does.
So you're gonna pay 4 credits to get through this without a sentry. Correct.
So that alone means the card is a bit more permeable, right?
So that's what I'm saying. It's like this is a fancy pop-up.
Yeah. It's, to me, this is sort of, this.
So would you rather have this sitting on the table, or would you rather have the Caduceus? I mean, that to me is the other century that comes to mind when I think Wayland. And I mean, are they going to pay more with that if they don't have something out? Like, most of the top runners are going to have a link, right? So I mean, there is variability there on how much they're going to pay, but
the internet might disagree with me, so this is a warning. I think the internet's going to hate me. I don't like this card at all. I think that if we compare it to Eli, at first glance, it's not so bad.
I think Dragonbane agrees with you right from the start there.
Oh,
he's saying at 3 strength, it's pretty awful.
Yeah, I was about to tear this card a new butthole. Like, the thing is, it's a 3-strength sentry. That's a problem. We're at the point now in the game where 3-strength sentries, because of Mimic, and because it's really easy to get a sentry to get to 3, that's a problem. Sentries in this game right now need to be above 3 strength to hold their weight. It's too easy to get past this. It's too easy. Then not only is it 3-strength sentry, so it's easy to get past, I don't even need a breaker to get past it. So in most cases, ice will trigger once. These subroutines will pretty much never trigger unless the corp unless the runner has no money. No, sorry, that's not, because that happens often.
No, I'm just laughing because Blackjack, I think this is like the second or third time he said that an ice would be better with Wormhole.
Nice.
Blackjack, I know you're loving that Wormhole combo.
Everybody loves Wormhole, like, more with Trash Program.
No doubt.
Yeah, and something else that's my issue is that, like, so the first time I encountered this card, right, and I want to just face check it, I run this. It costs you 4 as the corp. I run this, and I only pay 2 to not have a program trashed. Well, I can just let you gain the 2 credits. Okay, that's fair. But then, do I really have a negative to face check this? Like, if I have no breaker in play, then you can trash a program at all, and I just pay 2 so you don't gain 2. So you just paid 4 for me to pay 2, and now you will never get to gain money ever again from this. Like, the one shot you had to gain money from this card, it will never happen for sure now. Like, I don't know, it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, and that's like Dragonbane said, that's if you have a program in play.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, for this card to rationalize worth being played, to me, I would like this card more if it was even a 5/4. Because at the very least, it's a 4th strength sentry that trashes a program that, that would try to earn its credits back. 5/4 would be amazing. Like, to me, that would make me now rationalize playing this card as opposed to something like Archer. In fact, it would be a mini Archer. It would be a mini Archer. Heck, even if the cost to break a sub was more, like if it was 3 per sub instead of 2, that would make the card like significantly better. But it's just this is not good.
So you're really putting a lot of weight on the 3 strength then.
It's whole. I mean, yeah. I mean,
do you think that's to balance it out though? Like, do you think it would just be too, like, obviously it can't be lower than 3. Like 3 seems to be the range, but like, you know, you get into those 4s and 5 strength centuries, and then it just doesn't add up, right? Like, unless your purpose is to make it a higher breaking or a higher strength century, where you're just forcing them to pay the $4 to get through it instead of whatever it would cost them on the century. So you'd love it to just be a minimum $4.
You know what? I'll say this is my final answer. Final answer. If it was a 4 strength for 4, this is fine. A 4 strength for 3 that doesn't do any, like it. I understand that people may like this, but this card will never trigger. Like it won't.
Put this in. Dragonbane came here in the chat, and he says, apparently from what he's heard, it was originally tested as a 5 to res with 3 subs, and the run was on the end.
That's so much better. That would be so much. FFG, listen. Waylon is in desperate need of sentries that are in the run. Please fix. Sincerely, the Netrunner community. Thank you very much. Lucas, if you're listening, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave Waylon more sentries with an ETR. That would be nice. That'd be cool. Don't ban me from.
Well, because then it would at least cost them, like, if there was another subroutine, that'd be $6 at best to get through that.
Exactly, and it would mean the runner would at least always pay 2. This card, when you face check and hit, it most of the time does nothing. Like, early game, this card does nothing. And once I have a Sentry Breaker in play, it definitely does nothing, because it's already 3 strength, and I have nothing. I can break it so cheaply. Like, this card needs either more strength or an additional sub that is an ETR sub. Otherwise, this card it's bad. It's bad ice. It's bad. When I look at the details for this card, like from what other people, like things I haven't even brought up, when I look up the details for the card and the recommendation is the card is better when comboed with another card, that means that card is bad. Because like, not if that, like, for example, if this card is only good if you have Inazuma, then that means the card without anything is not worth playing, right? Like, am I crazy? I'm crazy. I don't know. Like, that's just what.
No, man, don't question yourself. You took a stance. Stand by it.
I'm sorry, internet. Don't hate me.
You stirred up some good back and forth in the chat for what it's worth.
I'm happy, and I would like to mention also, guys, I love talking. I love talking about the game. So if I ever say something, I'm gonna link my Facebook. If I ever say something and you guys are like, yeah, bro, I'm sorry, listen, scrub, that ain't right, I don't agree, feel free to message me and straight up tell me that you want to, and try to talk to me like I'm a human being. Talk to me, and I would love to discuss more about the game, but I don't want to hold us up, so please.
All right, we'll come to. This is probably one of the cards that I'm most excited for in the set here. I think this opens up a variety of deck builds that we might not have seen yet. When your turn, okay, so this is Tech Startup. This is an asset. 0 to res, 1 to trash. When your turn begins, you may trash Tech Startup. If you do, you search R&D for an asset, you reveal it, and install it. Shuffle R&D.
Yeah.
I love the way that this is able to bomb some cards out.
Yeah.
You think cards like a toolbox, before your turn begins, I can go and get that toolbox and then have all my clicks still to res a card for free. You're looking at, when you can't, you just can't find that route, right?
Yeah.
Just such a good asset. I know a lot of people might say, hey, this is, this is a one trash cost card, but I think anything else, and it's broken. You can't. The ability is so good, it has to have a lower trash cost for the risk for reward to run this card. I mean, the ability to set up another asset before your turn starts is just incredible, right? Like, think about Blue Sun when they want Adonis or something, right? Like
this. So, ooh. I'm scared to give my opinion again. So this card actually, I will give it more credit than I think I initially did. When I first saw it, it was very meh. Like, immediately, I almost put this card pretty much in the mentality of keep it in the bin.
No, see exactly what Bladejack said. The ability to pull out those one of executives that you've put in your deck, like Director Haas, pull it out. Director Haas automatically gives you a click. Automatically.
Yeah. Not bad.
Oh, not bad. Not bad. Man, this card is the defining moment of this pack. I love this card. So
my reservations behind Tech Startup is the following. And I mean, of course, I always, I'm harsh, man. I'm real harsh. So my primary issue with the card is, number one, it's one to trash. So the runner hits it at any point in time. R&D in the remote server, what have you, the card's gone. It's an auto trash. I feel the way about most one trash called cards, right? You see them, it behooves you to trash it because it is so cheap to trash. Then now granted the effect is decent for 0, but then there has to be a unique argument that you have to make. And this is actually the point that was made back in the day when Hostage was a popular card. So Hostage fetches a resource, right? Like, that means you could throw in one-ofs of Proco, a one-of Masanori, and 1x of Katie. And as long as you have 3x Hostage basically gets whatever you don't have in play. That's not bad. But it's still a deck slot that you're using that isn't the card that you want to begin with. And that's the problem, right? So it's nice to have this card as a tutor, but what it doesn't do is it's not a copy of that card. So in this case, like, you mentioned Director Haas. Well, so are you only running one Director Haas? If so, that makes sense. But
I think you're only allowed to, aren't you?
Well, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much only... Well, no. No, I think... Can't you run...
Or is it the pet project that I'm thinking of that's one per deck?
Pet project is one per deck.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like, look at,
And I think you would only want to anyway. Like, those executives are underused for that reason, is that when they're stolen, they're 2 points. Or trashed.
Yeah, that's fine there. But, like, for example, you mentioned, like... what's the card? Adonis campaign, right? So if I'm Blue Sun, and even if I'm only running one Adonis campaign, the question is, do I pack in these cards which only find the singleton or maybe 2 of Adonis, or do I keep my singleton or 2 of Adonis and in place of this put in another econ card that's also neutral? Do I put in Melange? Do I put in private contracts? And that's, so it basically comes down to, yes, I can go grab an asset that is very powerful, but I could also equally try to play what I would call a mirrored asset effectively. Like, maybe instead of if I'm Wayland now, for example, we use that same example. In Wayland, maybe instead of running the one of Adonis and then playing this card to go get that Adonis, maybe I just go grab my capital investors. I just play Capital Investor instead.
Yeah. Or even, you know, how many times have you been like, where is my Jackson Howard?
Right.
Right. If your Jacksons
Well,
are
that's good.
if your Jacksons are buried, at least you're able to get to that Jackson.
True. And I think the biggest issue I have with the card is that, like, it's pretty. I think in most matchups, it's pretty safe to go. In my opinion, it's pretty safe in most matchups to run a card face down. You assess every threat. So you look at your hand, even if you're not playing against Genteki, you look at your hand, you look at what's in play, and you go, all right, I think if that's a psychic field, could I lose every card and not be bent out of shape and continue to play and possibly win? Yeah, I'll make that run. I think every time you play, as you get better, you'll start to use cards like that. Dragonblade made a good point also. Cards like Executive Bootcamp really does tech startups role much better because it forces the runner to spend a click and then you get to actively use it. What it doesn't do is it doesn't let you install the card. But still, like I said, the fact that it's one, to me, means that you pretty much always have to protect it. And if you pretty much always have to protect it, the question is, in every case I can see it being used, it's primarily going to be an economy asset. That's what most assets are. Why not just play a safer econ asset? So like a pad campaign. Why not just play the pad? Why not just play the private contracts? And that way those cards can be installed naked, and they're 4 and 5 to trash. So they're much more daunting for the runner to get rid of. Whereas this one, I can find the targeted asset I want, but they can also easily kill it. So it's like I said, I like it more than when I first saw it. At the same time, it's still hard for me to find the deck slot. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm putting in the other asset econ card as opposed to this to search for a particular asset.
No, I think this opens up a new world of playing assets that we might not have seen play because it was so hard to get them in. I would love to see executives, other than Jackson Howard, played more. Mostly the ones that, if stolen, have the penalties of 2 agenda points. But you're going to see the toy box play with this guaranteed. I mean, it's really good. You ready to get on to the biggie?
Oh, I'm scared. I already feel like, my opinion sucks anyway. So let's go. Let's do it.
Genteki Biotech. This is Life Imagined. Here is the craziest mechanic we've seen in the game so far.
One of them, yeah, for sure.
Genteki Biotech. Identity Division. Before your first turn, you may swap this card with any copy of Genteki Biotech. So during the game, you get a one-time use of 3 clicks, and you flip it. What you're getting is you're either getting the brewery, the greenhouse, or the tank. So first off, what do you think of this idea? Not what we'll get into each one separately, but you behind this?
I dig it. I think.
Oh, it's groovy, right? And I think it's going to be a fun play.
Yeah.
But I think it ends there. I think it's a fun play. I mean, I don't think if this was as dominant as it was, Genteki. Let's just say that the Genteki ID that comes out at the end of this cycle is going to see more play than what this will see. That's my prediction.
With the exception of one side of this, which we'll get to soon.
All right.
I completely agree. There's 2 sides of this card I dislike entirely, and there's one.
I wonder if we're gonna like the same one, because I feel I'm drawn to one more than the others.
Yeah.
I do love this mechanic. I really think it's cool. You see what they're playing, let me make a change, and then the whole Genteki mind game starts up again.
Yeah. Agreed.
Very, very unique. Standing ovation for this card.
I think this is good design. I hope, and I thought they mentioned all IDs, like corp-wise, we're getting something like this. I hope that's the case, because this...
That's what the guys in Run Last Click said. They heard an NBN one was coming, but...
This is awesome. I think this is so awesome. I love this.
But I don't know. I thought maybe this just plays with the mind games that is Genti, right? So we'll see. The brewery is one of your options. When you flip this identity, do 2 net damage. Is this your boy?
No. Do not like.
I'm the same way. This card, this is the card that everyone's going to have to worry about, but is not going to be played.
Nope. There's no reason to. There's not a reason to play this.
No, I feel like when you're playing against Genti anyway, you're running, as full of mitt of hands as you want to. It is going to be nice for that one finisher, and every time you don't pick the brewery is going to be when you have the opportunity that you're saying, oh man, I wish I picked the brewery.
Right.
Right. But every time that you have this, I feel that maybe, 10% of the time you're going to be able to fire for the kill.
Yeah, man. I mean, so Genti already has so many ways, or I feel like, number one, Genti has enough ways to do meat damage. They have enough already. Yeah. Ronin, House of Knives, I mean, Death by 1,000 Cuts is a legit thing that if you have no preparation for, if you do not know how to play against, and you're not very, very careful, you absolutely lose. 3 clicks. 3 clicks for 2 net is just not that impressive. I just don't play with less than. I think it's been a long time since I've played with less than 3 cards in hand. 9 times out of 10, I've got 3 or more cards in my hand. And the fact that this card requires a triple click to do 2 net, that means that I can't even really combo this with like Neural Imp, which to me is like the strongest advantage of a card like this, is that I get to combo with Neural Imp and say, take 2 net. Oh, by the way, here's another one. And that's game.
Yeah, you're really gonna have to play that hand manipulation size that we haven't seen yet with Genti.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you can somehow get the runner to a terminal number of 1, then you win no matter what. But I mean, that's so. I mean, to me, that's unrealistic, and I try to avoid those scenarios where I play a deck or play an ID because one thing worked out really well once, and that makes it good. Because that's just not the case.
But you know what though? When I was thinking about from a design perspective, I think you have to have pretty much 3 kind of mediocre things to choose from, because you can't have 3 overpowered ones or it would just break the game, right? Or you can't have 1 overpowered one, because that's what everyone would pick every time. They're 3 very distinct and unique ones, which sparks the mind game.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the greenhouse. Sorry, did you want to add something there?
In short, I mean, looking at chat, for example, people are giving decent ideas of ways to make this work, and though these ideas work, I mean, the fact is that the less combo, at the highest levels of competitive play, I've seen that the less your deck requires certain combo pieces, the better in general, the more competitive, more likely it is to win, because there's less moving parts. Fast Advance is as good as it is because, yeah, there's parts, but you only need 1 part for the whole deck to work. You need one part. That's it, just 1 part. And so this, for this to really work the way you want it to, you gotta maybe have some brain, and then you gotta have Chairman Hero, and then you gotta have Bodic Labor, and then after the Bodic Labor, you gotta use your Ronin that you just happen to have advanced there, and then you can triple click. Like that just doesn't, things like that just don't seem like they're worth. They just don't. They don't seem.
Right. The greenhouse. This is the department. Are they all different ones? Yeah, it goes from division to department. Oh, okay, no, they're all departments.
Yeah.
When you flip this identity, place 4 advancement tokens on a card that can be advanced. Is this your Biotech? Hollis, is this your biotech?
Yes, this is it. This is my jam. I think this is the best one. Hands down, I'm going to make a statement. This is the best Genti Biotech ID. I'm pretty certain there's no question this is the best one. No
Sell me on it.
Boom. So, Genti has been trying to do something that was in the realm of fast advance, right? So Genti has pretty much, has brain trust, which is a 3-2. They've got the one of their 3-2, which is oh goodness, what is that card? Oh no, how could I forget this card? It's so good. I can't remember the name of this. You know the name of this card? The 3-2 that does a net damage for every agenda they have scored. Your opponent.
Oh, Philotic.
Philotic Entanglement. There we go. They have that 3-2, and then they have Medical Breakthrough. That is what this card is for. When you Medical Breakthrough is a landslide fast advance card.
So you're not even advancing traps.
No. Just play a fast advance deck. First Medical Breakthrough. Very first Medical Breakthrough. Go flip, score Medical Breakthrough. Now all my Medical Breakthroughs are 3-2s or 2-2. I've got other 3-2s in the deck. And if you were to look at it that way, technically, that means Genti has an amazing fast advance combination because they can auto score their very first 2-point agenda, and in addition to auto, because there's nothing you can do about it. They're gonna forward advance that card. They auto score that 2-point agenda, and then they still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other 3-2s in their deck, which is amazing. That is so, for fast advance, it's so good. That means the only other agendas you need are the same agendas that every fast advance deck uses in a PD contract. It is
okay. You got me thinking. Now.
So good. Well, I mean, what did you think? Was this yours?
No.
Okay, alrighty. I figured it would be this one or the other one. Okay. What do you think about this?
I think it's quite an interesting play. When you flip it, 4 advancement tokens on a card that can be advanced. I mean, it sits in the perfect thing where obviously you can score out a 3-2 if you need to. You're over advancing it. On a card that it plays into that Genti mind game where I can install a card and advance it once and let it sit there. And now, if I'm playing Biotech, I can score that next turn. I can score a 5-3.
Yes.
Out the previous turn just from an install advance. So now that's really got the runner thinking, man, I got to see what that is.
Yeah.
I got to see. I can't let him single advance against against the greenhouse.
So good.
But you got to really roll your punches. I mean, maybe you're trying to get one of those what are they, the fragments or the shards on the corpse side.
Right.
Maybe you're trying to get one of those in because they're, the incredibly powerful 5-3s. But I don't know. I still think you're gonna have to pick your moment to do it because this is a one-time use. It is a one-time use. This is it.
It definitely feels like this. I think that it feels like with this card, the best time to ever use this is pretty much the moment you have the first. In my head, the way you use this card is you use Genti's in-house fast advance cards. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna use your Trickle Lights.
So would you ever? What about using this to advance a Pete's Vice? Right, and then just feeding your Trick of Light stuff, right? Like,
yeah, not bad, not a bad idea at all. I think I would rather use it on the agenda if for no other reason but because it's a straight up, it's straight up points as opposed to be an investment towards points. But that's not bad either. I mean, that's good. That's actually not a bad idea. Should the game state be as such that is the best use you're ever going to get out of it, it really doesn't hurt. It doesn't. What this to me, the moment I saw this card, to be honest with you, the very first thing I said to myself is, that's 2 points. like this card should seriously just say, flip it, gain 2 agenda points. That's amazing. Like that is straight up amazing. There's no other card that does that.
Yeah. That's a good call, man.
That's pretty much what this card does. Am I at 5? Why win? GG. I mean, this is exactly what this card does. And
good call on that. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's got me thinking a lot more. dealing
Good.
there. I don't know if it's enough to sway my pick, but I like the tank. When you flip it, you shuffle your archives into R&D. This is it. This is fresh start. This is all my traps coming back, all my econ coming back, throwing all my agendas that were in there back, like one big Jackson Howard, one time.
It's a big Jackson.
I like this fresh start, especially when someone's going through, and with what Genti has with like hostile infrastructure, if it's really taxing you to trash my stuff, or to you've got rid of all my snares, all my shocks, everything that I've played to try and kill you, you've got through. Well, guess what? This game's starting over again.
Yeah. Oh, so brutal.
And I think that this, you're looking at a levy for the corporation right here.
Yep.
I'm excited a little bit about what Laramie Fisk can do. And if you saw that new spoiler card that they released where you play it on, I think you play it on the first click of your turn, and both the corporation and the runner is going to draw 3 cards.
Oh.
So it makes me think, are we going towards a style of runner that is actually going to be able to force the corporation to draw cards and to mill a different style than what Noise was doing?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think it's flip. William would like to change it to flip this identity and score a Nisei.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, man. That's what it is.
It's very powerful. You guys might have swayed me, but I still like this. I'm more of the damage style and traps of Genti. And I've always thought that that's what the fun part of Genti is. And when those are pulled from your deck, it's just such a bummer. Right. And to be able to get all that stuff back in, to have them have to worry about snare again. I know, okay, you know what? I saw you counting down my shocks, my snares, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm free running now. Boom, 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 boom. No. Fresh start.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's going to be really strong, part, especially with all the as we start getting more and more ambushes as they continue to come out. You're going to start being able to, in addition to snare and shock, cards like Chic U, where they may have just decided to take the net damage. That card gets weaker when you shuffle it back, but it's another card that it's another card they have to contend with, as the game continues on. It's like, oh god, this card again. It's it's putting it back in archives, so he's just going to put it back. So it hurts me if I hit archives. I don't really see a big negative to shuffling archives into R&D. With the exception being that if you were in the off chance playing a fast advanced strategy, you're diluting the deck.
Hey, Dan just jumped in here.
Hey, what's up, Dan?
Just a quick plug about his tournament. Yeah, we did talk about it off the top, Dan. We gave a lot of respect to you guys for putting in the time and effort to pull that together.
Yeah, 10 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. the next day, and then I can't imagine the amount of preparation required to, number one, basically have all the people in the background that are doing all the tournament results, making sure that gets organized in time, and then people like Dan, Dean, Chase. I mean, there's even more, Timmy. These are all guys that stayed up super early in the morning just to be able to calculate results and stay active with the community. Yeah. And I think the one thing I will say after watching that, and I mentioned this in the chat with them, and I think and I've said this to Dan before and other people in the Netrunner community. I love things like this. I love when the community does something amazing for the community, because we have a really great group of players, and even if not everybody's in the same competitive level, it's a great thing to show how nice, how pleasant, you can be and play a game like Netrunner competitively. It's nobody. I've rarely met anyone in the game that's an ass. Everybody's really respectful, and that turned out to me. I was so jealous. I was so jealous. When I got home, I turned it on. story time. I got home and I turned it on and on my computer, and I was watching, and all I could think about was like, oh my goodness, like this is what I love the most about the game. Is I love to see head-to-head competition. I want it commentated. I want the action. I want the excitement. I want everyone. When you look in Twitch and there's 160 people, 250 people watching this game being played because they all love the game, it is a great feeling. You feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah, it's almost like you're, ESPN 3.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're on our way. We made it. We made it. We made it. We're on our way.
Shouts out to Dan for putting that together and for hijacking our biotech conversation.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know, guys. Dan is our current world champion. So I mean,
so that's why we do have to have to stop the show and give him a redirect when he makes his appearance.
That man works hard for the money, bro.
He gets the YouTube dollars.
Hey, he works hard for those agendas.
So the tank, yeah, I do love the fresh start that it brings. I do love. I'm a Genti trap guy, so I do love resetting those traps. So 3 very unique cards. I do think they're set back though by the coming to ESPN the Classic.
Oh my god, 20.
Dan, actually, you know what I think you should do, man, is put all that footage on DVDs and sell them.
Oh my god. I will pay money to get whatever game where Timmy lost to Cortex Log. Because, oh Jesus. Oh god, that's horrible. Man, YouTube, man, that's so, oh god. Oh. He made $3. Oh, gosh, that's hard.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about though, because I think we're at 250. I do think it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting the timing of this card to be able to pop it because it's only one time, because it's a one-time thing. You don't want to essentially blow your load on at the wrong time, because what you want to do is be that momentum shift and shift that in your favor, not against.
I agree. Totally agree. And I think part of the issue I have is that, the shuffling archives in R&D is a massive change to the game. But, it is all 3 clicks. So it's kind of like, it's one of those scenarios where it goes, all right, well, everything's moved back up, but, everything's back in R&D, but how much of a difference is this making towards the game versus, the other options? And like you said, if your deck is full of traps, absolutely. I think this card's going to definitely show a lot of strength there. It just depends. It really does just depend on the actual deck build itself.
Oh man, just laughing at the chats. So that's about it, man. That wraps up the Valley front to back. Are you what is your card of the pack's clot? Are you gonna flow with the rest of the?
I'm a fan of RP. Like corp-wise, I'm a fan of RP, or RP in general. I'm a fan of Genti, and I think Cortex Lock was super strong.
Yeah, I think that one, that and the tech startup are my 2 cards that I think I can back the most from this pack. The runner cards were just there. They're more setup, but this one is those 2 cards are the coolest ones.
I agree. I do. I think that the best cards that we had. Let's see. I mentioned. Let me go back here. I mentioned that I really, really enjoy Cortex Log. I would say my next favorite one, even though I'll probably never really use it. Brain taping. And for no other reason but because I just want to play. I just want to play around with the card. I mean, that nothing else really stands out to me. What is it? Symmetrical Visage, I think, is playable. Maybe.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I mean, I think that wraps up this episode.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody who jumped in the chat. Like I said, what I was going to say off the top, and I should say this at the beginning, is we really appreciate if you guys could keep clicking that subscribe button, give it thumbs up. That stuff helps all in the YouTube stats and helps get us known and out there. Hollis, you want to say anything else before we bid these fine people adieu and catch them later on?
I always give real talk near the end, I guess. I do think. Well, I think Dan is probably right there. I will say that this past weekend really made me, as if I didn't already like it enough, really made me appreciate the Netrunner community. And so I would just like to say, thank you not only to everyone that participated in that tournament. Thank you to StimHack. Thank you for A&R Black Hats for actually going through and hosting something like this. Thank you, Jason Flenser and Broken Egg Games for supporting Ending Playmats. I mean, the thing is, the community is supporting itself now, in addition to the support the FFG is willing to give, and it's a positive thing when the fans of the community enjoy themselves enough to want to support it. I want to see more of that. We have our own local tournament, the SMC, going on. I know Scott, I hope I don't butcher his name, Paglioni. Probably have it wrong. Spags. He's having his own regional tournament. Actually, they just announced theirs. So, if you guys have an option to support, the community, take that opportunity to do so. The community really needs us. If you want to see more out of the game, if you want to get more out of the games that you play with the people that you know about, people you meet when you go to these tournaments, do what you can to support it. Have fun with the game, support the game, and I think that it's going to be a lot more rewarding for everyone. And that's it. Thank you all so much for even for those of you who tune in and speak with us and talk with us on a weekly basis. It really means a lot, and we do it for you guys because we like the game and we like our community. So that's pretty much all I had.
Well said. I think we'll end on that. This is very, very well spoken and unscripted.
Yeah, thank you.
Hashtag real talk, right? Hit you up on Twitter.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thanks again for hanging out with us. We'll catch you all later.
See you guys.